My name is Sangya Singh. I'm a group program manager for Desktop Outlook, and I'm here with my program manager colleague, Misbah Uraisi. And we're super excited to share with you all the investments that we've been working on for Desktop Outlook. So today's agenda is going to be, I'm going to spend about 15-20 minutes really talking about key investment themes that we've done for end users' productivity. How do we empower end users in your organization to get more done out of these productivity tools? And then since we are so close to releasing Desktop Outlook, we're going to spend a good majority of the time actually demoing the latest bits that we're working on and showcase those capabilities for end users. And then I'm going to spend some time really talking about, on the side as we're empowering your end users, how do we actually give you control to actually govern a lot of these capabilities, and what we've done around reliability and making Outlook Desktop a lot more robust. And then we end with a small demo. In the last 10 minutes, we're going to spend time doing a Q&A session where we're going to invite our dev manager, Robert Nowinski, on the floor and field some questions. This is a big overview for Desktop Outlook. We almost feel like it's like a coming out party for Desktop Outlook. If you've been following us for past couple years, we've shown you a lot of stuff that we started to release in the service, but really didn't share any plans or demos around Desktop Outlook. So you're going to see a lot of that. Towards the end, we'll also share about 11 deep dive sessions that's going to go deeper into a lot of the capabilities that we're going to touch today. So let's take a look at the 5 themes we're going to be talking about for end users' investments. Right? So the first thing that you're going to see is how are we going to enable sharing and collaborating with groups all within from Desktop Outlook. Second, we're going to be talking about how we make document collaboration frictionless with cloud attachments. Third, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the investments that we've made on the search backend infrastructure and how Desktop Outlook actually leverages that. Then we were super excited to share and talk about how we extend Outlook with HTML5 and JavaScript-based add-ins that you can deploy and light up in all Outlook endpoints. And then lastly, we have a bucket about 6 key features that has been on a backlog, has been requested by a lot of our users that we're going to share some details around that. So I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes kind of just going through a little bit of overview of these areas, and then Misbah and I are going to follow that with demos. So let's talk about groups. If you have been following us, the Office 365 roadmap for the last couple years, you probably have heard about Office 365 wide investment in groups. You probably saw the keynote. You heard Gurdeep talk a lot about the modern workplace. If I really had to summarize like 3 key takeaways from the message that we have been really immersing ourselves in for the past couple years and really thinking how do we really enable that in Desktop Outlook, they are the following, right? So the trends around all the advancements in the cloud technology, the mobile technology, the social technologies that we have seen in the industry today has really have a big impact on how information flows between different information workers, right? It's really, really needed for greater transparency and discoverability. It's needed because it's become super imperative for today's success to happen. And then that itself has a lot of impact in how that affects the workplace, the dynamics in the workplace. If sharing and collaborating, getting faster information are the strategies for success today, what does that do to the workplace? We are seeing again and again that the trend is around people having more open communication. Gone are the days of solidarity where I just work in solitary mode, I go looking for information. people come together from different disciplines of the organizations because they have to get work done, and they are using social technologies to openly communicate so everyone is kept up to speed. Everyone has that knowledge. Of course, they are confidential information, you can keep it private, but the trend is more and more. The more people communicate on open channels, the better the team collaboration, the faster you get stuff done, the faster you get decision-making done. So that leads to the third key takeaway for us as a technology company. What do we have to do in terms of tools that we provide to really support this agile way of working, right? How do we facilitate all this team collaboration? And for the desktop Outlook team, it really gets down to how do we enable that in the tool that the people use today? We know people use desktop Outlook today for communication. Today, people are using distribution lists, DLs, for communication. How can we take those concepts and really power them with a lot more Office 365 capabilities to really enable sharing and collaboration? So what you're going to see in the demo in Desktop Outlook is how easy we're going to make it for the users teams to come together. You'll be able to create a group very easily from Desktop Outlook. And then we'll do all the heavy lifting on the back end to provision the right Office 365 resources and tools. You create a group, and you will be able to provision the groups OneDrive, groups OneNote, shared calendar, and then we go above and beyond and above that by actually providing a very connected shared experience within Outlook Desktop. Outlook Desktop primarily has been my inbox, my private conversation, and now we've spent a lot of investment around what would a team experience in Outlook Desktop look like. So we're super excited to share that with you. When you're going to see the shared experiences, we've also really looked at the trends of how people communicate back and forth. We've looked at patterns around really rich with content, conversations, quick reply, social gestures like, and some of those we're going to actually demo, and it's going to be available this fall in Desktop Outlook. And then towards the end, I'm going to plug in for 2 more sessions for groups that's going to happen this week that I highly encourage you to attend. And the links are going to be towards the end of the session. The second thing that you're going to see in the demo is around our investments around doc collaboration. Today, we know how easy it is for everyone to attach a file and start sharing and collaborating on the email. At the same time, we all know the pain points around it, multiple versions, bloating up the mailbox. And it's a no-brainer as we think about that, oh, wouldn't it be nice for the document to be in one place that everybody can collaborate? But there are so many steps for the users to do today. Which site do I go to? How do I upload the document? How do I give the right permissioning? Start an email thread, make sure the right people are included in the email. Too many steps today that makes it super easy for the user to say, I'm just going to attach it. So today we're very excited to again demo how we're going to incorporate cloudy attachments in the familiar user experience of Outlook while you're composing an email or composing meeting invites. So it becomes very frictionless to collaborate. Then we're going to spend some time sharing with you all the search investments that we've done. We know today search is slow, it's frustrating. Mailboxes are getting bigger and bigger, and it's becoming very, very important for finding the right content is becoming very critical, right? The search infrastructure team of Office 365 and Exchange really did analysis of a lot of search patterns to see how do we make better investments. Just as examples, they analyzed a lot of the data, and then they found that most of the queries done for mail search are about 5 to 6 characters, about a word. They found out that most of the queries are repeated again and again. They found out that as we return about 30 to 40 search results, and we show you a link today that says, click here to see more search results, we do know that nobody clicks on it, right? And users spend minutes iterating on the search results to really get to what they're looking for. And still 1 in 8 times of the search query they actually find what they're looking for. So the search infrastructure team really took it to heart, really went to figure out what they have to invest. The number one thing that they did was they said, we got to nail the fundamental, which is the speed. The fast search. The faster the search is, the more the user is going to iterate on it. So they did a lot of back-end infrastructure work to make search faster. And they made architectural changes so clients like Desktop Outlook is actually going to leverage this new capability. So with Desktop Outlook 2016, we are by default going to go to the service as a search assistant. Of course, if you're offline, we're going to fall back to the local search. What does that give us? That gives us a complete set of search results. It doesn't just matter what's synced to my desktop, right? I could have different devices. And so going to the service gives me a much more accurate, complete, and fast experience. And the other benefit for us as a client is as the search infrastructure team gets better and better with the technology, we actually benefit that. And then we didn't really stop there. We also made the search experience much better. You're going to see in the demo things like how we actually surface recent past queries, how we give suggestions based on algorithms that we know are keywords in your mailbox that you use often, the people that you interact with often. We've got fuzzy name search. You don't have to remember the person's name exactly as you're searching for it. And so all those capabilities are going to light up with Desktop Outlook. Then there's a lot of investment around what we're calling HTML5 and JavaScript-based add-ins for Outlook. So these add-ins, what it enables you is, as a developer community, is you create an add-in once in HTML5 JavaScript, and once you deploy it for the organization, it lights up in all Outlook endpoints. Currently, Outlook for Mac, Desktop Outlook, and Outlook Web Access, and other endpoints are coming soon. It also, with 2016, we've also added a lot more capabilities on what you can actually do. So there's a lot of capabilities around Outlook ribbon extensions. You can add new commands to the ribbon, and you can use a lot of new controls like dialog, drop-down box. You can open a side panel in Outlook to showcase data from your extension add-in. You can add a new ribbon, and we have a rich set of APIs that you can use to actually interact with the message and with attachments. So very excited about that. There's also a way to give you access to the App Store where you actually see Microsoft approved add-ins. So it really helps enable the developer community to provide solutions for your users that actually helps with the productivity. But at the same time, we know governance is so important. So we have the right knobs in the place where the IT can decide to maybe disable those add-ins or not allow the user to actually download it, or only allow the users to download what the IT has said is blessed by them. So all those capabilities are built in. There's another session that just talks about this in deep details that we have a link for towards the end. And then lastly, here's the set of 6 things that, Here are the set of things that has been on a backlog and has been requested a lot by our users. The first one is around really supporting Desktop Outlook's user experience for smaller screens. So we've done a lot of work where Outlook will actually adapt to smaller screens. We lay out the navigation pane, the reading pane in the right order, so you have a better experience. We make sure that on small devices, your triage experience is better. So it can be on a small device, or if Outlook is resized on desktop 2, we adapt to it. So we're super excited for you to try this out. Then we've made a lot of investments around taking advantage of high DPI screens. New dark themes has been a very requested feature. So we have dark gray, black themes coming out. And then this is one of our favorites, EAI, email addressability, international addressability. Today we know the world has a lot of people that don't speak English, don't read English, right? And yet the SMTP address today has support for ASCII characters only that forces this set of population that doesn't know English to really know English to communicate. So what we've done is in Outlook Desktop, we've made investment around really supporting email addresses that have Unicode support in it. So if you receive an email address, I believe there is an example here. If you receive an email address that is an international email address, you will be able to reply to it. You will also be able to, if you yourself use an international email address, you yourself will be able to configure Outlook to support that. And so Outlook is going to work with the backends that support these international addresses. So we've done the work on the desktop, and as the backend supports these addresses, these scenarios are going to light up. And then lastly, some of you might have seen investments in the service around a feature called Clutter. And the whole premise around Clutter is that with all this influx of a lot of data coming into your inbox, you basically might be missing something that's really, really important. So the backend infrastructure really understands your patterns, what you read, what you delete immediately, and it moves emails into a folder, into a clutter folder that it deems probably not important to you. And it learns over a period of time. You can give hints that this is not clutter. So this allows you to just focus in your inbox with the emails that you care about. Since it's a folder, this actually just lights up for Desktop Outlook. All right, with that, so those were the 5 key themes, and with that, we actually want to spend a lot of time showcasing those features in a demo. Okay. So I'm going to switch devices here. 2. Okay. So we're going to start with. Guys, can you hear me? Yeah. We're going to start with the groups demo, right? So I'm going to set the stage by quickly saying we're going to do a role play. So I work for a company called Contoso that makes wearable. We particularly work for a division that makes health bands. So I'm going to kind of show you different flavors of group that we use. And as you see these examples, do relate to them, whether you in your team might use it or your business users that you support would use it. So let's take a look. This is Outlook Desktop. I have about, under groups, I'm actually part of a lot of groups. I'm just going to focus on the groups right now that I really care about. So there are 3 examples here that I have favorited. And let me go through and talk about the types of groups these are. So health engineering is a group that is my organization. We are engineers in this group, so that's an organizational group. Everyone who is reporting and is part of health engineering. Then Misbah and I are actually working on a project where we pull together people from different disciplines and departments in an organization, and we've kind of created like this project crew group called Health Band Product. So we're working on a product of launching the next Health Band product. And then Industry Trends is a group where anyone in the company really shares news and interest, industry trends around what Contoso stands for, which is healthcare wearables. So now let's go to each one of these groups. Let me start with industry groups. So I'm going to click on industry groups. So let's pause here and take a look at what we have. So here, what you have is you're actually seeing a team space, a team experience within Outlook Desktop, a shared experience within Outlook Desktop. You see the group, the type of group this is. It's a public group. That means anyone can join the group, doesn't need any approval for the group. You see all the members of the group. all this information, when a group is created, the group name, the identity information, the icon, the members, all the identity stuff is actually mastered in Azure AD. So all Office 365 experiences you're going to see throughout the demo just lights up, no matter whether you're in Outlook or OneDrive or Skype. And then let's take a look. As I enter this experience, I see all the conversations for the group all available to me, right? So imagine a case where you want to really immerse yourself in this. You can do that. Imagine you've just joined the group, right? You come and you can catch up with the group really, really fast. You don't have to ask people. You're new to the group to say, hey, can you forward me these related things around this group? Now let's take a look at some conversations. So here I have Juliette, who has shared an article, right? This is what we call a modern conversation. It's a conversation experience that we know today has evolved outside email. So email is really adopting now to adapt to these new forms. It's top to bottom. That's kind of how all of us do messaging and share information and a lot of the experiences outside email. Juliette has shared that. Misbah has commented back on it. There are like gestures around it. So I'm going to go ahead and like. Oh, and I zoomed, sorry. Okay, we will come back to the conversations. Let's try quick reply. Again, the experience is really optimized for quick reply because we know majority of the conversation back and forth in emails today are really small, short bursts of replies back and forth. And later I'm going to show you how you can really go to a full compose experience. So I can quickly reply to the conversation and send it. Let's take a look at some other conversations and see. I'm going to close the ribbon to see more real estate and see if I can like it. Okay, like worked here. So again, it's a space, it's a team space that really helps with that communal feeling of a team. You can kind of go there, you can like things, you can quickly reply to things. Let's take a look at health engineering now. So remember, this is my organizational group. This is where all the engineers within Health Band report to. So as you can imagine, you probably do that in email today with your team, your IT group, or the other business groups. The types of things that go on, in this case, like people have shared some off-site notes around it. There's another one where there are people share about team events. Here is a conversation someone shared around a restaurant that the team want to go to while here at the conference. Okay, let's see. Now let me go to the project crew. So remember, Misbah and I are working on a health band product. And so here's a group that we have pulled together from different disciplines within Contoso that are working on this release. So let's take a look at a few of these conversations. So here's a conversation where Misbah is really talking about, hey, we need to do a compete analysis around this health group. And I have actually been working on it using and documenting everything in groups OneDrive and OneNote. So as I mentioned, when a group is created, you actually have a group OneDrive available. And in this connected experience with Desktop Outlook, it's just a one click away. I do not anymore have to save URLs or remember which site that I'm going to upload this file to. And just for the sake of the demo, clicking on the files will actually take you to the group OneDrive and actually lead all the team members to the group's OneDrive to store documents. I also, like I said, I've been working on the group OneNote. So clicking on group OneNote pulls up the OneNote of the group. We use this OneNote for a lot of things, for the compete analysis I'm doing, for the meeting events. And again, when I created the group, it was automatically provisioned and surfaced to me in a very connected, familiar experience. So I could, I'm going to reply to Misbah that I've been working on this compete analysis, share my notes. I can only highlight. Okay, copy, paste. So in this case, let's say I wanted to send a more elaborate reply, right? I don't want quick a reply. How do I navigate to a full compose experience? So I can just pop out the quick reply experience, type in the comments that I wanted to type, paste my notes, and if I wanted to also share the link, copy a link to the page, which will share the link with the team, and I could just hit send, right? Now let's take a look at the last example around this health band product. And this one is around, we're working on a review with the VP, and we're working on a press release. So Garrett has really asked, he needs the latest update. So I am going to, I know Misbah's working on it. Sounds like at Misbah, you have been working on it. What is the status? What is the status on the press release? And I know she's been working with a lot of collaborating on that press release document with a lot of folks from within and outside the organization. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. And before I transition to Misbah, where she's going to continue the story around how she's collaborating on the documents. So I just wanted to pause and talk about what you just really saw, sharing and collaboration built right within Outlook. You saw how Outlook actually lights up with a very delightful and connected experience for teams, makes it super easy and frictionless to start sharing by pointing them to the right resources, the group's OneDrive, the group's OneNote. And then a promise around really enabling users to self-organize and come together really fast. I wanted to demo that too. So let's just say I had to create a group, how easy it is today to create a group. So I'm going to start creating a group. I'm going to choose a name just for this demo. I'll go ahead and choose Microsoft Ignite. You get an email alias that if I want, I could change it. By default, there's nothing confidential within the group, so I want to make it public, group as a public type, so anyone discovering it can actually navigate to that experience, take a look at what the group is all about, and decide whether they want to join it or not. And I am going to create a group. Now, it takes about 2 minutes to create a group. So what we're going to do in the meantime is, as the group is getting created, a couple things to note is what it's really doing. This is all live code. What it's really doing is in Azure AD, it's actually creating the group, storing the identity of the group, right? Provisioning the right resources, whether it is a group mailbox, whether it is a OneDrive, OneNote, it's doing all this work, and all in about 2 minutes. So in about 2 minutes, it's going to come back and ask me which members I want to add. While it's doing that, I'm actually going to invite program managers from our team, Julia and Eric, to distribute some T-shirts.
Makes wearables. We'll hang out some wearables too. T-shirts. Who here is a member? Who's here a member of the Office 365? Yep. Eric. All right. Nice. All right. All right. Who's a member of the Ignite Yammer network? All right. Who has anyone provisioned a group? Wow, this is awesome. Oh, 365 group.
No.
And
by the way, those were all large. I didn't check if they.
Who? Oh, it looks like it's ready. All right, thank you, guys.
Okay, good job filling in. Go ahead, good.
Okay.
You want one more?
A couple more, sure.
Okay. Who has used a group in this room? Okay. And finally, who is in the tech preview audience and has been using Outlook 16?
Outlook 16.
That's awesome. Thank you, Eric and Julia. Yes, awesome. And the folks, obviously, who are not using Office or haven't used, downloaded Office 2016, you can go to the booths downstairs and get a copy installed on your devices. So, the 2 minutes are over. It's actually created the group in Azure AD, and I'm going to quickly add members. And I'm going to add Misbah, Maitali, right? I can add many members as I want. I can give a description of the group, and I am going to click OK. Again, the identity information is stored. The members and everything is stored in one place. So all the resources within Office 365 lights up. And here you are. The group actually got provision. The group mailbox got provision. And in Outlook, it's still loading. In Outlook, you actually see their experience. And then hopefully within the next few seconds, it will show up, and you can start having conversations with the group. So you see how powerful it can be in today's world, in the modern workplace vision that you've been seeing for the past couple years we've been talking about, that enables the business users that you support to really come together really fast to get stuff done, to make good decisions, and increase the pace of progress. So with that, I'm going to actually hand it over to Misbah, who's going to continue the story of the demo.
Sounds good. Do you want to switch over to my... Yeah. So thank you so much, Sangya. I've been working on drafts of our latest promotional material for Contoso Health Band, and because we've been iterating on these drafts, I want to go ahead and search for the latest version of it. And if this wasn't Outlook 2016, I would probably not be so confident right now in terms of my ability to actually find the thread that I'm looking for. So instead, I'm going to go ahead. You guys can see my screen? Great. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and show you what the search experience looks like in Outlook 2016 in reality. So as soon as I go in to search, I'm presented with my last used queries. The colleague that I've been working with is Robin, so I've been working with her a lot. These are queries that show up from whatever I searched for last. As I start typing, I get smart search suggestions based on the content in my inbox. So as you notice, I spelled Robin incorrectly, but with fuzzy search, I still see suggestions on the people refiners at the bottom. So Robin Counts now shows up at the bottom. And as I continue searching, the results are also coming in live. So as I go, the results that I'm looking for are scoped down to whatever I actually end up wanting to use. So I've successfully found the thread that I'm looking for here. It's the latest draft for the PR. Robin and I have gone back and forth. She sent me documents that I've already started working on. And with this, since I found the thread that I'm looking for, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the document and take her notes into account before I send it back to Sangya and team. So as soon as I do this, I'm going to snap Outlook side by side. So now I have Word and Outlook side by side. Let's pause here for a second. What you're noticing right now is that with this release, we've made several investments to make Outlook far more usable on screens with limited real estate, as well as your smaller tablet devices. So 8-inch tablet, this is what you're going to see on left-hand side. Outlook is in portrait mode. What this means is that I can easily go back and forth my message list and my reading pane. I can navigate between messages and triage through them very easily. So if I'm working and collaborating on a document and I want to be able to reference what's in my email and make changes accordingly, I can do that now very easily. So I'm going to focus back on Word. Robin has given me some content that I need to add to this document. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's just add it towards the end. Hit save. Now I'm going to transition back to Outlook. So Sangya recently looped me into a conversation where she's like, at Misbah, you've been working on this, what's the status? I'm going to go ahead and reply to this thread and share the document that I was just working on. So as anyone would do, I'm going to go ahead and attach the file. As soon as I go to attach, what do I notice? This is a new piece that has lit up in Outlook 2016. For everyone in the room that has been using the preview, you'll notice that we have an MRU, which is your most recent items that light up at the bottom, that light up in this list. And what it's composed of is your local items, your items in your SharePoint team sites, OneDrive for Business, OneDrive Personal. It's all in there, and it's organized by whatever you were working on last. As you can see, this is exactly the document that I was working on. It's my draft that I've been iterating on with Robin. Shows up at the top and makes my life a lot easier because I no longer have to look for it. For the sake of argument, let's say I didn't exactly work on this document very recently and I did not see it in the list in there. So how would I go about looking for it? You can still go ahead and scroll to the bottom and browse web locations. So this will allow me to navigate straight to my OneDrive for Business that shows up here, as you can see on the left-hand side. It will allow me to go straight to my personal OneDrive.com. So as long as I have all of these hooked up into Office, these will also light up here. I can navigate to the most recent SharePoint team sites that I've been looking at, in addition to my favorite groups and their individual document libraries. So that's all there. Again, if I don't want to go to any of those locations, I can fall back and browse my hard drive and look for the document there. But in this case, I do see the document that I want. I'm going to go ahead and attach it. And before I attach, like most people, I would go ahead and attach this file and send it off, and people that I'm collaborating with would go back, add their comments into the document, send it back to me. I would merge all of their comments and their updates into one final copy and then send it off. What a pain. What's happened here is, because I'm working with multiple people, so Sangya, Garrett, I'm just going to add all of them in here, both external and internal to my company, I want to send this document as a OneDrive document. So I want everybody to be able to collaborate on one single copy of this file rather than multiple copies of this file. What Outlook has allowed you to do now, and this is the very first time that you're seeing this, is actually do that from within here. So what I can do is convert this attachment to a OneDrive attachment, and that's what I'm going to show you. So straight from the file, I have the option to upload to OneDrive. Again, I can decide if I want to upload it to my OneDrive for Business or Personal OneDrive or Groups Document Library. I'm going to go ahead and select my OneDrive for Business. And as you can see, if you look closely, this is actually uploading to my OneDrive for Business folder. So what just happened here? This file is now converted to a OneDrive attachment, or what we internally like to call a cloud attachment or a cloudy doc. If you notice, it now has a cloud overlay over it. On the left-hand side, it says the permissioning string, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and it looks similar to attachments, and it's cloud files are now treated as first-class attachments. So so when I send this off, everyone is going to get a single copy. So they're basically going to get a link to the file in my OneDrive for Business folder, instead of saving the copy to their own hard drives and collaborating on that. However, if this file was already on the cloud and I did not want to send this as a cloud attachment and I just wanted to send this as a regular attachment, this is what we also internally call the lawyer scenario, where I've been working on something and I just want to send my client a hard copy. That is still available. So if this is now a cloud file, I can convert it back to a regular file by clicking Attach as Copy. I can also change the permissions on it to be view-only permissions if that's what I want to do, and edit permissions and toggle back and forth. So that's what that allows me is basically the permissioning piece is super important because what it allows us to do is permission everybody in your recipients for you. So remember the time not so long ago when you would copy and paste a link into the body of an email and get a reply back from people saying, hey, I got that fund, can't access this file page, can you actually go ahead and permission me? And then you had to go back to your OneDrive and individually add those people. You no longer need to deal with that mess. Outlook handles that for you. As soon as I hit send, Outlook will work in the background with Exchange to permission everybody in your recipients to this document so that they all have access when they receive it. Okay, so before I hit send, let me show you indeed what this looks like. So this document was just uploaded 2 minutes ago. Shows up right there. Right now it says that it's shared with only me. And in a second, you will see what it looks like. So I'm going to hit reply on this. Hi, everyone. Please check out this doc. And off it goes for feedback. Go back to OneDrive for Business. Refresh. Uh-oh. Is this my... Let's go back to my sent items. Oh, is it not actually sent? That would be why. It's still in my outbox. Should actually be... Is that because I'm not on... Wi-Fi is... I don't know. We can come back to it. So what you should be seeing, which would be a lot more powerful if had it actually happened, is the permissioning sharing settings up in here would have been updated to reflect that I just sent it off to 3 people, and those 3 people now have access to the document, had the email actually gone through. And the other piece of it is because I'm sharing it with both internal and external folks, we do display the cloud file across all clients, whether they're what we're calling down-level clients or the latest version of Outlook 2016. If it is a down-level client, which is previous versions of Outlook, or external clients like Gmail and your mobile phone, we display this link as an HTML link that shows up at the top of your inbox. Oh, actually, it did go through, finally. So it shows up at the top of your inbox, and it's displayed like this, and it's basically a URL to the document. And if the external person has gone through SharePoint's guest auth process, they will also have access to the document. Now, because I see that the email has actually gone through, let me hit refresh on this one more time. And ta-da! Okay, so this actually did get shared with everybody automatically, which is awesome to see. So, thanks. And actually, one last point. So everything that you saw here now lights up in meeting invitations as well. And this is very, very new, where, hold on, let me create a meeting invite, insert, attach, and just to show you what it looks like. So there's an attachment well in a meeting invitation. What does this mean? This means that meeting invites now support HTML. For the longest time, they've been RTF only, and there's been a discrepancy between what you see in your mail and what you see in calendar. That has changed. We're moving towards supporting HTML everywhere, and this was a very important step on our side to give you guys an equal experience between mail and calendar and be able to support cloud attachments in meetings as well. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it off to Sonia.
Awesome, very cool. Thank you, Ms. Bev. Let's see. So what you just saw, you saw how Desktop Outlook became so much more powerful as it connected to the service. You saw it lit up the sharing and collaboration with the group service. You saw how it lit up with Doc Collab with Cloudy Documents. You saw the search benefits that it has as the Office 365 search experience and infrastructure gets better and better. We looked into extensibility, and this is just a start for us. All these are major, major themes for us: groups, document collaboration, search experiences. And you're going to see, if you're on subscription, if your users are on subscription, you're going to see value of that come in much more sooner. We as a product team do have the ability to ship new capabilities for subscription users every month, every quarter. And of course, for perpetual licenses, we will bundle it up and release it at a regular cadence too. So now let's just talk about the investments and themes around reliability, robustness, and security. So the first one we want to talk about is for what we call modern authentication. So we know modern authentication today makes Office 365 more secure. What does that really mean? Let's just take an example. So you have an on-prem Active Directory federation service, and you use Office 365, your business users use it to actually get work done. With modern authentication, no longer will you have to store password in Office 365. What it really does is Outlook Desktop talks to the on-prem Active Directory Federation service, gets a token, and that's the token that it uses to authenticate Office 365. So we know this has been a big hurdle in adopting Office 365 and making it a lot more secure. But we didn't stop there. We went ahead and we enabled in Desktop Outlook second-factor authentication. What that really means is when your business users actually try to connect to your corporate network from outside your company network, beyond just asking and prompting them for password, how can you also enable a second-factor authentication? It could be through phone, through text, through an app. We're going to show a demo after this around modern authentication using the MFA app. And so all this is configurable, what kind of second-factor authentication you want to enable. And then lastly, around the same theme, there is single sign-out now for all client applications. So you just log in once to a client application, whether it's Outlook or Skype or Word, and you're logged in for all the other clients. So a lot of work that went in for all the desktop clients to work on this and make this a reality. Around reliability, sorry, do you want to just scroll there? Yeah. So around reliability, we basically did the following investments. We switched the Outlook protocol from RPC-based to HTTP protocol that primarily makes our connectivity more reliable, and it really allows us to enable features like modern authentication. Today, we also know that we run into connectivity issue when the Outlook and Exchange auto-discovery settings go out of sync. So we've made architectural changes in Desktop 2016 where we take the auto-discover response from Exchange and treat that as the authoritative source and actually store that with the client. So no longer do we end up with this mismatch in the registry setting between the client and the server. So we hope as we make improvements in reliability, these are the first set coming up, and we have a roadmap of planning to do a lot more around this, that it would make Outlook a lot more reliable and robust for your users. I touched upon the whole benefit of subscriptions. You seeing as Outlook is really powered by the service, a client that's powered by the service that's making lots and lots of investments, you're going to see new capabilities light up. We are launching major experiences around groups and Doc Collab, and we're really going to learn how users actually use it and adapt that experience and start rolling out. If you are on subscriptions, you'll actually be able to see those feature set a lot more faster. Then I want to touch base upon, oh sorry, there's one more thing around there. So now we also have a capability where desktop Outlook actually gets a hint from the Exchange server that your client is too old. And we have a user experience, we call it Better Update, where you get a bar that says, hey, Outlook is really old, you need to upgrade Outlook, and it has a link to upgrade Outlook. What's coming next? As we said, we kind of continuously working on this theme. I'm going to talk a little bit about EDP, Enterprise Data Protection. You probably heard in the keynote, Brad and Joe both talked a lot around security. So Enterprise Data Protection is really a Windows 10 feature that allows you to protect corporate data on your users' devices. And what it really provides is it provides a separation of enterprise data from your personal data, so you can easily wipe out enterprise data if you have to without impacting personal data. It has protection against unintentional data disclosure to enterprise data disclosure to applications and endpoints outside your enterprise control. And then it all comes with, as Brad actually demoed, very low management overhead, because you as IT admins can actually use MDM solutions in Tune to actually deploy these EDP policies. So that work is in progress, and we will share more details as we finish that work and release in Desktop Outlook. Can you scroll that? Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I can't see the screen. There you go. Yeah, so that's EDP. And then the last two bullets talk about the investments that we're making around Outlook Desktop being faster when it comes out of hibernation. And we're doing work around how desktop actually works on slow network and doesn't really hang. So these are some of the things that are coming up. And so now let me quickly demo the modern authentication two-factor. So phone, actually the desktop here first. Okay, so let me clear the cache. So I've created a whole new profile, and I'm going to try to log into Outlook. And obviously I'm traveling, and it's going to prompt me for, I'm outside the corporate network, so it's going to prompt me for my password first. So I'm going to enter the password. Notice that it says for added security that we need you to verify your account. And what it's really doing is, this is the second factor authentication that it's pulling up. And yes. So I have the, let's see, let me just start the app. I have the app, so you guys can see, I have the app installed here on my phone, so I just need to tap on verify. Then if I log back, I'm tapping now, verify, second factor authentication, it receives it, and hopefully it should be able to log into Outlook. Okay, so that was the demo, and then with that, did you go back to the deck? One last time, 2, 5. Okay. With that, just to plug into all the deep dive. I know we covered a lot of the stuff, a lot of the areas that you actually going to see light up in Desktop Outlook. Here are about, there are a lot more sessions, but here are about the 11 sessions that I touched based upon. They span from, there are 2 sessions on groups. If you wanted to go and attend groups overview and roadmap, we highly encourage. how do you evolve distribution lists to Office 365 groups, on document collaboration. Please do attend Rethinking Attachments on May 5th that Ms. Kip and James are going to be doing. A lot more details if you're interested in search. All the information that we've done on the back-end search and how the algorithms that we use to actually light that up in desktop. We talked about clutter, so if you're really interested in that, Taming Your Inbox is the session that you want to attend. We talked about enterprise data protection today. That's coming up in Desktop Outlook. We do have a deep dive on that called Protecting Your Data with Containers without boxing yourself in. Modern Authentication has a session. There's a session on mobile, Outlook on mobile, Outlook on Mac, and then the extensibility story we shared briefly around HTML5 and JavaScript add-ins for Outlook. And then lastly, we're going to open up for Q&A now. I'm going to invite my dev manager, Robert Nowinski. I know there's a little bit time left for Q&A, so plug in for the experts panel session that's going to be held. It's the one with the star that's going to be held on May 7th at 9 a.m. So if anyone is not able to get questions answered, we're going to be here. You're going to please attend the extended panel. And with that, we'll open up to Q&A. Oh, sorry. Because this is getting recorded, there are 2 mics here. If you guys can just come up on the mics, that'd be awesome.
Quick question. When you guys switch to ADL authentication, will the authentication request come from Exchange Online, or will it come typically ADFS? You know, the client's speaking directly to the ADFS server, but in Exchange Online, it's coming from the cloud back. And we're trying to do some stuff, and I'm trying to figure out, will it go directly to the internal ADFS server? Will the client go directly to the?
As far as I, excuse me, as far as I know, we get the token from the local server, send that token up, then a validation comes back for an access to make sure that user is provisioned for that resource.
From the client, though, it all comes to the client.
The client will do local negotiation to get the token, hand that up to the service. The service will come back and say, hey, is this token valid for this resource?
Okay.
You can go.
Yeah, have there been any changes in Office or in Outlook 2016 for maximum OST size or to help scale for mailboxes in excess of 50 gig?
Our guidance still is, over about 20 gigs, depending on the storage that you're running, you'll be pretty good. I think that you can set limits up to about 50. But I think we have a hard limit at 50, and I don't think we're trying to make that bigger. The thing we are trying to do is, as with any database file, trying to get out of the way here, it's designed for a particular scale. The thing we're going to probably be doing more of in the future, although totally speculative, not for 2016, is segment more where we put the data.
Okay, thank you.
How many of the features will work on-premise versus 365?
It's probably better.
So a lot of the stuff, the service-related stuff, for example, groups right now is not going to be available on-prem. The team is working on it, and as they'll have more details, we'll share. Search is a big one. Do you know about Doc Collab?
Most of what I showed in Doc Collab will be available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Depending on the search is related, depending on back-end version with Exchange, SharePoint, and so on, I presume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things, for example, in groups, what we saw is the power of group comes in when we really take all these workloads together, right? Yeah. So it was just not an Exchange feature. Otherwise, it would be much easier for us to do that. And that's the challenge, and that's why it lights up on the service first.
There's also just I didn't see it up there, but there's a Exchange 2016
on-prem
set of sessions, and they'll be the on-prem.
Next session for me.
On-prem.
But by principle, it is planned that the features are available if the back end is correct with private cloud in the on-premise, for example.
Yeah, I think by principle, we iterate in the service, and our goal is all the best features do come on-prem. But like I talk about, it just depends on the feature to feature. If it requires a lot of coordination between a lot of the on-prem, it's a matter of time how we get there.
The client isn't particularly coded to know anything about the backend.
Thank you.
Outlook for the Mac, is it getting all the same functionality?
There's a separate session for Outlook for Mac where you can find out all the details, but they are working to ramp up on Outlook desktop features and be aligned with us more or less in the near time frame. So,
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, collaboration tools only work when they're everywhere.
That's a Microsoft yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's we just can't tell you when.
Exactly.
Are you guys doing anything with the issue where presence, either through Link or Skype for Business and Outlook, if one platform goes down and the other one doesn't, the client doesn't disconnect cleanly right now in 2010, 2013 architectures?
Let's talk about that offline, because that's something I haven't heard about, which is interesting.
Two questions real fast. First one was, you said Outlook 2016 desktop will check auto discover every time it opens and refresh the profile?
No, what we actually ended up doing is we used to take the auto discover response, shred it up, and save it into a bunch of places in the profile. And we could never really super pinpoint an exact way it all went wrong, but we basically said, hey, look, auto discover is the authoritative, like auto discover is built using AD objects and whatever. It is the authoritative source from the network. So we just take it and save it in a file, and then when we boot, every point thereon we boot, we read it from there. The protocol has a time to live, so then we say, okay, after time to live, we'll refresh it.
So just quickly, if there's a data center switchover and your OA URL changes, is it going to refresh your Outlook profile?
No. Basically, we end up, if there's a connection failure, we just go and pull auto discover again. It'll just be slower that one time while we have to go pull that.
Won't rewrite your profile though.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, I have two questions. First of all, so we downloaded the Office 2016 preview, public preview, but it doesn't have any MSI version. So do we know when MSI version will be available as a public preview?
So I think dates are still being finalized. It is fall of the official pitch is fall. So once the date gets finalized, we'll publish it. But it's this fall.
That's RTM or that's a public preview version timelines?
RTM. That is the RTM.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there won't be any preview available for MSI version?
This is, I mean,
we should take,
we'll
get
talk
this
about that
information.
offline, because there is some preview happening for MSI. I just don't know what program it's being released on.
Right.
Okay. One other question, the Skype for Business, will that be part of the Office 2016?
I do not.
Again.
Yes, answer is yes.
Okay.
I see people not. Yes.
there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, we're on Office 365, and so for a lot of these, I have the preview, and I think there's maybe one other people in my company that has a 2016 preview. So those features already work, like the ones that you're showing, I can start using them right now?
They are working?
Most of them.
Okay, and then as long as the other people are using the preview, then they'll be able to use the same new features?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, there may be some very techie reasons why they might not if you're in different forests or things like that.
We're all in the same.
Yeah, as long as you're all in the same forest. You should.
And will the preview just flip? Will there have to be a reinstall to the released version, or will it just keep working?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll.
Good question.
Okay. Thank you.
Take that question.
I'm just a little bit curious about the groups thing, which is you've talked a lot about today, and my colleagues and I work quite often in a large enterprise organisation, and the proliferation of groups in your own AD is a real problem. Now, I appreciate this is an Office 365 thing, so the creation of the groups prima facie looks like a great idea. However, you could just end up with these masses of groups for your environment that will either have the same name or a misspelling or a typo. Who owns these groups? Who manages them? Who deletes them? I can see you can create a group, But what happens to that group in the life cycle of your environment? Where did this great idea of groups come from? But is it really a great idea for the life event of the group?
Yeah. So this is, as we've been sharing these plans for the past couple of years in the service, like you said, we've actually heard this as a common concern from the IT stuff. So it's really a balance between, I believe you understand why we're going there, right? Why we're actually empowering end users to do that. But at the same time, I think the right controls need to be given to the IT admins to control and have tools around which groups are not being used, how do I manage the life cycles around it. And as I said, groups is a large investment that you're going to see these capabilities come in. There's a whole roadmap around it, and I would encourage you to actually attend the 2 deep dive group sessions where you're going to have these group gurus actually share with you all the capabilities that they're working on really for the admins to really control this. I know there are a lot
so an admin, you probably can disable that feature.
Yes, so there are blog posts already with commandlets that if you wanted you as an IT to create the group and don't want the create group creation to actually surface in the client, you can actually do that, right? So people can come to you, you can create the group, and then the client lights up with the groups that you're part of. So you can have control around that. But then there's a whole need around life cycles for the group that we as a team are actually working on it in the 2 deep dives.
So I didn't see you didn't have to, like, if you created the group and you leave the organization, who now manages the group? Things like that. But okay, I'll go to the deep dive.
We actually have a few people who work on the back end for groups here, so we can hook you up to
Cool.
to talk
Yeah, that'd
to
be great.
them.
Cheers.
Yeah, right there.
Is that tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m. here? Awesome.
The key, though, is we are thinking about it. We just don't have the details right here.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi. So I'm sure that 1 or 2 of us have had emails not be read by users frequently. And I'm kind of concerned about our emails getting cluttered out of their inbox by default.
Yeah.
Because they already don't read them, and I would hate for them to disappear further.
Yeah, so it's really not disappearing. It's going into this folder that is available to you called Clutter Folder. And on the user experience, you can actually go to the Clutter folder. It's still there. It doesn't empty it out, right? You can actually say, hey, this is not clutter, and it learns over a period of time.
Right, but they're not going to do that. That's the whole problem.
Yeah.
So how do we administratively say, hey, you don't get to clutter emails from, say, IT admin at...
I'll actually answer your question just because I have some of the background. There's a session on clutter where you can go into this in detail, but there is going to be a control where admins can choose specific things not to show up in the clutter folder. So there is, yes, we're going to have to fix that.
Thank you.
Go to the clutter session.
Yeah, I'm interested about the feature, the nationalization of the email addresses. Yeah, you brought up this. So as an Exchange admin, somehow this fears me because anyways, I've got a pain from some IDM system, you know, using some ASCII codes there in email addresses which are not, shouldn't be there because they're using just ADSI, IDSI and putting it into the ID. So how does it work? Is it only for the client? Is it like a translation you had on each client for these specific email addresses? Is it local?
Well, no. Excuse me. EAI is a sanctioned spec, and it basically transmits the whole mail, including the headers, in UTF-8, as soon as the email address contains Unicode characters.
So then, anyway, it's on the client side there.
It's on the client, but all the transport hops along the way need to support it, and so we think about our subs or companies that are multinational that have subs in like Korea. That they're likely going to be exchanging all on hops, and big companies will make the investment on their infrastructure.
Okay, thanks.
So just a quick one: is there going to be, or is there any native PowerShell in Outlook 2016?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Any native PowerShell in 2016? Outlook
IT
2016.
PowerShell for 16 to do what? Sorry.
So to apply some of the settings that you're doing and getting more information at the moment to try and get, say, diagnostics information from an Outlook client is a bit of a challenge.
Nothing planned right now.
Okay.
We would love to hear more about it. Maybe if you stick around, we'll get more info. Thank you.
Hi. Is there any improvements towards better when you change the view from like by last name to date view, or if you click on the folder that you never visited and it has 100,000 emails, the Outlook hangs. Is there any improvements in that area?
So you're talking about the speed of
you click on the folder which has 100,000 emails, and Outlook freezes, hangs, and it's gotten better in Outlook 2013. It's much worse in Outlook 2010, better in Outlook 2013, but still, people do not delete emails. That's reality. And if a folder has 50,000 or 100,000 emails and click, Outlook hangs. Or if you sort that folder, you sort by some other parameter, it also hangs until, and it's a very big frustration for users.
Yeah, we're on that particular front, we're always kind of collecting telemetry on the app to understand, how it's functioning, and we make targeted improvements, which is why it gets better over time. It's hard to say that there's anything planned, because it's more we look at the data as we see it and decide that we need to make particular investments in those areas. So whenever it gets bad, then we go and we fix it.
Okay. What is the current recommendation of number of, because it's always a hot topic, how many emails is okay to have in a folder in Outlook?
We don't really have one because it really depends on hardware. If you're on an SSD, it's way better than if you're on rotational media. If you don't go twiddling the folder a lot, the fragmentation is relatively low. Like we have people at Microsoft who just never empty their trash. They have a couple 100,000 in there. We don't observe those problems, but they're mostly on more modern laptops with SSDs or things like that. So it's really dependent about how many IOs you can do, specifically random IO.
Yeah, my personal opinion is, would be so nice if Outlook would be like, okay, you take first 100 emails and you consider them and present to the user, and then on the background you do indexing or whatever you do, instead of trying to do all this 100,000.
Strangely enough, that is actually how it works, but we can talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I've got users who redirect ops-related email based on rules and want to drop them into subfolders. And one of the things that some of them who are now moving into the Office 365 environment from other mail products have observed is they may have a bunch of subfolders, and what they key off of is the unread total being at the top and not having to explode a folder to see the unread counts. Is any consideration being given to the ability to get unread to be not just what's in that folder, but perhaps also any subfolder underneath it?
So I can take that one. Nothing planned right now, so good feedback. We haven't heard that a lot. One of the big challenges with email is since a lot of people use it, they have got used to a pattern. So changing something like that
it's called user selection. Let the user choose what they would like the behavior to be.
So good feedback, and as we see more of this feedback, we'll definitely consider these.
And one other one, coming from a higher ed environment, we share the group's concerns that were laid out over here, but another concern is a lot of our groups are going to be, by their very nature, involving external parties.
Yes.
Can they get some, if not all, of that functionality so that an external user like a program director for a research project could at least get the calendar and the email content, maybe not have access to the OneDrive, because if that becomes a division line where that feature set is usable, then in our environment, a lot of groups are going to fail because they can't be.
In your example, were you calling external user just someone in another organization within the same tenant?
No.
Oh,
this
truly
could be,
an external.
So let's take one example. Research between two different universities.
Yeah.
If they're both in Office 365, even now, if you invite a user, it's not aware if you're using their EDU address that they're also an O365 user.
Yeah.
Problems there. Or they're the government sponsor, say, whoever.
Yeah.
They can't be a part of it. So there's a lot of very groups that we have in academia and research that will feel left out if there's not some ability.
Powerful scenario. It's a very powerful scenario. We've heard that a lot. It's definitely, guest access, definitely in our roadmap. It's not available in this first release, but definitely in the roadmap. I would highly encourage talking to the group's deep dive session where they can actually share a lot more details around it.
Thanks.
But,
Just to add that real quick, you get email right off the bat, right? So email works. You'll just consume email as part of the distribution, right?
I'm not sure I follow what you're saying here. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So as I understood the way the product was shown, all that email is now in the group.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of the general email flow.
Yeah.
If you want to include some external parties to be part of that conversation, I need to see them. They need to have that same access. Right. They need to be able to see all of that.
You can add.
Hi guys, great session. I'm surprised this hasn't been brought up already, but some of us are supporting VDI environments that are session-based, and we've always frowned on putting OSTs and PSTs in network shares. Has there been any kind of improvements in that area for users who are doing session-based desktops that won't, this isn't maybe Office 365, but on-prem, that, the search has always really let them down. They tried advanced search, and some admins have actually had to go to third parties. Has there kind of been any improvements or change in the kind of don't put OSTs and PSTs on the network?
I'm not aware of any change in guidance. I mean, there are some things that we evaluate over time around sync windows and things like that to make sure that it's easier to get back to your steady state.
Sure.
But nothing around getting rid of them or anything like that.
So still say no OSTs on the network. Cool.
Well,
any more of those Contosos shirts going around?
I was going to say certainly not on network shares.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Hi, question about sharing cloud files or attaching. Is it possible to granularly set the permissions for each recipient on the email? Or do you have to set the permissions for like maybe I send an email to 5 people and I want 2 people to be able to edit and 3 people to be able to view. Should I send 2 emails with different permissions for that, or is that on the roadmap to change?
Right now, that's what the behavior would be. That is great feedback though, so that's something we would look at doing post this release. Okay. But the only way you could do that is by sending 2 emails or going directly to OneDrive after you send that single email and just change the individual permissions for whoever.
Second question, on the group names, is it possible to set a naming convention or a naming standard for those groups to where my concern would be my people would pick a bunch of different names and there's no standard to it. So could you put some sort of feature in there?
That's actually a very much requested feature too. Again, I know it's probably considered in the roadmap, and then so the group deep dive session would be able to talk more. I don't know if you know, are they confirmed plans around IT admin actually controlling the schema of group names?
Oh, actually, yes. You will see a live demo of that tomorrow. Awesome. Thanks.
Yay. Thank you.
All right. If we ask you to catch up with us, feel free to just.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for the session.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.